Welcome to Evil Live, live media commentary show that answers the question, are Satanists really dopey, sacrificing losers? Subscribe if you're new to the channel because today we are reviewing Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. Directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett. They have come back for the sequel. Years later, of course. It was written by Guy Busick and R. Christopher Murphy. Cinematography was by Brett Kiewicz. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Music was by Sven Faulkner. Had a $14 million budget, which is nothing. And it's already gotten $9.1 million. It was forecasted for $11 million. So they're looking in the lifespan to make a little bit of Skrilla, but not a whole bunch. The logline of this film is, after surviving one deadly game, Grace... Oh, here, let me just scoot aside a little bit. Grace and her sister Faith must now outrun 4 rival families competing for a powerful throne. Winner takes all. So again, this is a direct sequel to the first one. I'm going to be spoiling this, so if you don't want to know about it, if you don't want surprises, go watch the film. It's in theaters right now. Come back and watch this after the fact. That's the only warning I'm going to give you. All right, so the first Ready or Not is all about Samara Weaving's character, Grace, going to marry into this new, really wealthy family. They're like these board game powerhouses that just sort of dominate the industry. And part of a game they play whenever anyone gets married, it's a tradition of the family that they play a game together that night. And so they have the ceremony, and then, of course, they do the game at the very end of the night. And so Grace goes to this, and she has to pick a card out of this little deck to see what game they play. And it could literally be anything, like checkers or chess or anything. And everyone has to play. It's just a tradition in the family because it is a game-based family empire, right? Imagine like if you were the CEO of like Hasbro or something like that. I don't know. So she pulls hide and seek, which is a clue to the family. And that is our first clue as viewers about what this is really about. So the reason why this family got so much power and influence is because they made a deal with the devil. And it requires, every once in a while, a human sacrifice. And we've seen it already happen once in the family through flashbacks. But now it's time. And it only happens if you pull the hide and seek card. Any other game you play, it's all just banal and normal. But if it's hide and seek, then that means you, as the newcomer to the family, have to hide around the premises. And if you survive till dawn, then you win. But if not, they kill you and their luck goes on and everything. If you win, it kills the whole family. So that's the whole premise. And we find that it was actually the devil that they sold their soul to, which caused this whole thing. So it's this weird supernatural thing. And it doesn't even come up until the very, very end, the whole devil side of it. And so you're kind of wondering, what the hell are they talking about? Is this real? You know, as far as the movie world is real? Or is it just something that the family does because they've always done it, you know? Turns out it's real. So starting at the very end of the last film to the very beginning of this one, it's very much like the end of Halloween to Halloween 2, specifically with the Rob Zombie version, where she gets carted off to a hospital, and then all of a sudden we've got this guy. As soon as the family's dead, it starts a whole chain reaction. So there's 6 families that all are these sort of powerhouse Satanist families that run the world. Literally, they run the world. And so only one of the families has the seat, the throne, as it were, right? They actually cause massive influence. Everyone else is wildly successful in their industries, powerhouses in the world, but they don't run everything. Only the person in the seat runs everything. And so we have David Cronenberger as Chester Danforth, who is the man in the throne right now. And so he finds out that the death of the... why can't I remember the name of the family? Dang it. The DuPont... I can't remember the name of the family. Anyway, the satanic family from the first film dies. That creates a vacuum, and so they have to have a whole new round to that, because they find out that, of course, Grace lived. So they now have to, because she won the game, everyone has to then vie for power over it by killing her. And the head of the household of each of the 6 families has to play in the game of hide and seek to kill her, because she's an outsider. She can't win, or else that could possibly disrupt or dissolve the entire thing, and all the families would die. So now it's incumbent upon the rest of the families to all get together, and the head of their households goes and kills him. Well, David Cronenberg's character, Chester, he's an old man. He can't go do this. And so he has to ask his kids to kill him so that they can then go and try to kill Grace on his behalf, so that the family remains in control in the throne. All a convoluted setup with nonsense included. You're not supposed to take any of it very seriously. And clearly, the individual family members don't either. Because at one point, a family member, his older brother dies, and he is told he has to go out there and fight her now. And he's like, how about I just have my wife do it? And so he signs her as the head of the family, and then she just pops smoke. So she has nothing to do with it. So, I mean, what are the rules? The rules are there to be broken and just have some fun. This whole film is very, very tongue-in-cheek comedy, over the horror, lots of gore in the best of ways, very Sam Raimi in that way. And like, I love that stuff. So, I mean, Ready or Not is just the type of franchise now. I mean, it's only a sequel, but I'm assuming they're going to try to figure out a way of doing a third film. I don't know how they would, and they probably won't. I don't know. But we're going to call it a franchise for the sake of the conversation. It's my kind of franchise where you just enjoy the slapstick, you enjoy the over-the-top horror, very much in the vein of like Evil Dead. I mean, the latest installment, Evil Dead, was very serious and gritty, but Evil Dead 2, An Army of Darkness, very slapsticky, very sort of silly, but tons of fun, and I absolutely loved them. And even like Ash versus the Evil Dead series, loved every episode, super over the top and slapsticky, but totally worth it. So that's sort of the vein that this is running in. So the setup is Grace is captured by this organization, as it is, and then all the families come together and they basically let her know that, hey, we're going to kill you, or if you survive, then you win and you're the new leader of this organization. But there can only be one leader, and it's triggered each time one of the families die. We have to go through this whole rigmarole. And she's like, I don't want this. I don't want this at all. But here's the rub. Her sister's with her. Her sister and her had been estranged for a long time. She left her at a foster family when she was 15, and then Grace went off to New York to make a life, and then she was planning on bringing her sister back with her. But, you get a grudge on someone, and then you end up not talking to them for a while, and then there's just this huge gaping hole between the two of you that you just can't seem to cross. That's their relationship in this. And so they're constantly fighting with each other and arguing and hurting each other's feelings and walking away, then coming back, because they genuinely do love each other. It's just time has caused wounds, and sometimes it's hard to get to heal those wounds. And we see all that playing out. So it adds a tender element that I don't think is sold as well as they were hoping it would be sold, but it's still entertaining and fun to watch. And then, of course, the whole purpose of the film is to see all the gory ways that people get killed, intentionally and accidentally. And we see a lot of really inventive ways with a whole bunch of different weapons and stuff. And in the end, apparently there's a loophole that was released early throughout the film in the first act, that if Grace marries someone in one of the other families, then that family then becomes the head of the organization. They no longer have to kill Grace, but it means that she has to be, a devil-worshipping, murdering individual. And that's just not who she is, and that's not what she wants to do. Which is why it was so frustrating, because she was given an opportunity in the first act to, or arguably maybe the second act, to get out of this whole thing by doing that, and she refuses it and gives very good reasons why she refuses it. And then in the third act, agrees to do it to a wholly different person who's much worse. And so it just didn't feel earned. It felt frustrating, and it felt forced. So she ends up marrying this guy in this overt satanic ceremony with a whole bunch of satanic attendees in robes in this very, wonderful satanic arena type area. And she ends up killing him, dismantling the organization, and then throwing the ring into a pit. And all of the Satanists vying for power jump into the pit and like fight and kill each other to try to be the one that has the ring before dawn comes, because it's always at dawn when these things end. Because if dawn comes, then they all explode and die. And as you see in every trailer and in the first film. And that's exactly what happens. She ends up walking away. The devil tips his cap to her, and she goes off with her sister, and they live, happily ever after. Though, the end of the first film, the very beginning of this film, clearly had a real world element of she's the only survivor. She's covered in everyone's blood. There's a bunch of people that are dead and brutalized. She's going to have to face repercussions for that. And so that would be the exact same situation in the second one, especially after the cops have already dealt with her and the cop died at the beginning of the film. So she's still going to be on the hook in legal terms. So that could be a way to rope in a third film if they really wanted to. But this film would have to do much better than they anticipate in order to justify a third film, in my opinion. So ultimately, I really enjoyed this film up until the very, very end of the third act. That's where it fell flat for me, and I didn't really like seeing the Satanists being so pathetic. Yeah, I think that's the word, pathetic. I think it's just, it felt, I don't know, it wasn't earned, in my opinion. They're this group that's like run the world, and this one girl has upset the entire power balance and structure of this entire organization, so much so that it completely dissolves the entire organization. So how much power and authority do they actually have in the first place? It's just so thin, so fucking transparent, and I don't know. It just didn't seem to have the weight and gravity that I wanted it to. There are some interesting notes here. So IMDb has this at 7.1 out of 10 as a rating. I think that's pretty fair. Maybe a little bit high, in my opinion. It's 70% fresh. It is a fun watch. Like, you have a good time. My wife and I were the only ones laughing in the theater, like out loud. And it's a comedy. You're supposed to laugh. But I think people were just uncomfortable with the whole Satanist angle. And I don't know. I don't know why people don't laugh. Maybe they just don't have a good sense of humor, or maybe they just want to be quiet and they don't want to upset other people. But if I see something funny, I think that's why you go to a communal experience like a theater, is so that you can share that with other attendees and have a good time. At least that's how I see it, and maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, 76% fresh. The audience has it at 89%, which again I think is a little bit high, but I'll definitely accept it. And I'm hoping more people go to see it, because I would love to see if they could do a third one, if this does well enough. Because look, Samara Weaving is fucking amazing. She is amazing in this. She brings it. Every single scene. Other actors and actresses, including her sister, mail it in. They're not doing as much lifting as Samara's doing. The whole time, she's at 100. Everyone else is fluctuating from like 75 to 30, depending on the moment. But she is like in it to win it the whole time. And it is impressive. And she's got a scream that is the best horror scream queen scream ever. No one compares with this scream. It has this high-pitched crackle, almost a ululation to it, that is just such an evocative, emotionally resonant, vibrate. It just hits you, and you just feel the pain and anger and rage and sadness, everything in it. It's so good. She is great. I love her in everything. Even when she did Scream and got killed in the very beginning, I thought she was great. All right, so Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett were working on an original film centered around her sister's story, set to star Catherine Newton and Samara Weaving. However, when Searchlight Pictures approached them to direct a sequel to Ready or Not, they proposed integrating their original sister story into Ready or Not. So they were already going to be doing a film just maybe not in the same universe until they were pitched to do a sequel. And they're like, all right, well, let's do the sequel. Screw it. Catherine Newton is a fan of Sarah Michelle Gellar and her series, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Newton brought in a picture of Buffy from Welcome to the Hell's Mouth and recreated her outfit in this film. So this is very much, and there's tons of these too. Tons of homages to Lord of the Rings, to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and all sorts of other really great films. And I think that it's the type of film that it's meant to be. You're supposed to go to this and just have a good time, not overanalyze the rules, not, argue over the reality of the death scenes. It's just, or, not even to get really emotionally invested in the dynamic of the characters. You're going there to see horror, to see distress, and to have a good time. And it delivers on all of that. Radio Silence directed the 5th and 6th Scream films. The franchise also features Samara Weaving and Sarah Michelle Gellar. In addition to Kevin Williamson, who wrote the first 2 Scream films and directed Scream 7, wrote The Faculty that starred Elijah Wood and Sean Hattasey, and they both are in this as well. So I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 Evil Eyes. It is a good film. It is a lot of fun. There's just that very landing they didn't nail the landing for me. It just did not hit the way I wanted it to hit, but I did truly enjoy it. And I love Samara Weaving as a character actor. She does such a good job. She's easy on the eyes, but her acting, I think her physical appearance is a bit of a downside to her. It sort of works against her because people think that she's going to be sort of stupid or not a good actor or not convincing in a role. And it's the exact opposite. She is a fucking powerhouse, especially in horror. And I'm hoping, and I've seen her in other horror films and she's not as great. I think it was Azrael, if memory serves. She's not as great in that, but she's still good. I think the script has a lot to do with whether an actor can really pull it off. And I don't think Azrael was a really great script, from the beginning. All that being said, go out and check out Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. It is definitely worth your time. It's a lot of fun. It may not stick the landing as well as you might like, but you're going to have a great time watching and laughing the entire time. So that is my review. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoy the content I produce, I'd like to invite you to become a patron on Patreon or a member of this YouTube channel. Thank you to creator patron Aaron Hardy and D. Robert Handy, and developer patrons Chris Androu and Sam Ruiz. As always, like it or not, evil spelled backwards is live. So get out there and be evil.